Welcome to the AP Effect, the podcast.
Hey everyone, I'm Kanaya.
Hey, I'm Kaylin.
Hey y'all, it's Destiny.
What's up, y'all? It's Shalia. Welcome back to the third episode of the AP Effect. Today, our topic is colorism. We asked three questions about colorism on our social media. The three questions were, how do you define colorism? Have you ever experienced colorism? If so, how did that make you feel? And where do you guys see colorism the most? So when you guys asked those questions, what was some of the feedback that you got?
Most people didn't really experience colorism firsthand, but they either witnessed it like through social media or like another friend or a stranger probably. And also like their definition of colorism was like all the same. One last thing that I saw that was common was seeing colorism the most via social media.
Definitely. Were you able to like define colorism?
Well, I feel like colorism is just, discrimination upon like your skin color. I know that most people may think it's really based in like the Black community, but it can be in different types of.
To me, colorism means racism within your own community. And like Des said, it's not specifically just the Black community. It can be happening in the Asian community, in the Hispanic community,
That is true. Really and truly, how I define colorism is, I feel like it's unjustified, honestly and truthfully, because it stems from such negative connotations.
So I do see that people say that colorism is like a form of racism.
Yeah.
You know what? Sitting here talking about colorism and just thinking, I never noticed before, but I definitely have experienced it.
Yeah,
definitely have.
Wow.
I never noticed it. I never picked up on it, but I'm thinking about a specific situation right now.
I want to hear y'all stories.
Well,
Stories. Go ahead, Kay.
So the story that I'm thinking of currently is, so back in high school, I thought this guy was really cute. And I was like, oh, well, this is back when I didn't mind shooting my shot, but now it's a different story. But anyway, I basically told him, I was like, yeah, I really think you're cute. And this, that, and the third. And he was like, well, I don't like, Black girls or, the darker ones. I was like,
Oh.
He said that too.
The darker one.
yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, first of all, let me tell you something. This boy was literally the same skin tone as me. So I'm just sitting here like,
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Self-hate that Black men have when it comes to Black women, but not even that.
But I asked him, I said, okay, like, it's okay for you to, if you don't like darker skinned girls, that's fine. But I literally just wanted to know why. If you grow up around women who look like me, yet you say that you don't like them for some reason, I would like to know why,
Not only that, Kay, but it's like, first of all, you're saying, I understand to have a preference. I do.
Right.
I understand that it's a thing to be like physically attracted to a certain type of person, but it's not needed. Like, you don't need to degrade somebody just because that's what you're not attracted to. So for you to say you don't like dark-skinned girls, but your mother, your aunt, your cousins, your sister, like, they're all dark-skinned.
That's literally
women.
what I said. I said,
What was his response?
So I said, okay, that's fine, but like, can I just know why? And he was like, Black girls, they're just so ghetto, loud, ratchet. I was like, you talk to me every day, and you know that I'm not like that. So why are you generalizing me? Like, not all Black girls are like that. Not all darker skinned girls are like that. So why are you generalizing me with the specific type of girls that you see in the hallway? I don't understand.
What's even funnier about that is that you're nowhere near dark skin.
I'm really not. I'm in the
even the case, because that's not even the case. It's the fact that, like you said, he generalized everybody. Like the fact that he knew you and he know that you're not like that. It's okay. Like, yeah, I don't date dark skinned women. All right, cool, that's it. But
right.
we all ratchet, ghetto, the same stereotypes we all hear about Black women.
Right. So I asked him. I said, "Is your mama like that? Is your grandma like that? Is your sister like that? Your auntie like that?" I really left him standing there with a stuck face because
you know how they always love to group all of us together, saying that, you know, into this one stereotype, like Kaylin said, like this generalization that we're all angry Black women, but we have a right to be. You know, we're the most disrespected people on this planet. So for us, I feel like a lot of the time when we're passionate about something, it's being misdirected and we're angry and we're this, we're that, because we are Black women.
But isn't being angry a common emotion for everybody? Like, don't everybody get angry? So it's like, why is that a big issue when a particular
we get
gender and race?
Yes, everybody gets angry. But
everybody gets upset, sad, like
yes. And
Right.
as soon as everybody gets angry and everybody gets upset. But as soon as a woman of color rolls her eyes or raises her voice just a little bit, she's an angry Black woman. Oh, she's got too much attitude. I don't like that.
And you know what I be thinking about, y'all? I be like, what happened in the household? Like, what went wrong? What did you see to where you decided to have this hatred? Not even more so hatred, because everyone has a preference, but where did your preference stem from? You know?
But you know,
I think I can answer that question, can I? Like, I honestly think that this goes beyond like being in the household. Like, I think it goes back to like slavery, honestly, because this is where that divide was created, you know? Like all the lighter skin tones, all like the mulattoes and stuff, they were in the house and they were house slaves. And then you had your field slaves. So then you had that rivalry. And I feel like that has always continued. And it continued from that to being, well, you live. Oh, it can also go to like colorism, but it can also go, oh, you live on the west side, I live on the east side, I don't mess with you, you know?
Right.
And it can also go to, oh, team light skin, team dark skin. Like, it's so much inherited trauma just from slavery, and we don't even unpack that to realize what we're doing.
Right.
And how detrimental it can be to us, because I feel like it has always been a divide and conquer thing with Black people.
I agree with that too, and I also feel like it's our environment too, because like I feel like some of these people that never even experienced dating a Black woman, just because what other people say about us, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to really try or attempt to date one I hear or what I see. But it's like, instead of you just agreeing with the stereotypes of what you see, not everybody is like that.
And then don't forget, you got the, oh, well, my best friend is Black. You know, he's one of the cool ones. You know, you got all of that. So all that microaggressive, you know, low-key shady, it's just a lot to deal with. But that being said, Kaylin and Kanaya, like, do you think that colorism is more psychologically damaging, or does it just hurt your feelings?
I feel like it doesn't hurt my feelings personally because I'm secure in who I am. I feel like it's psychologically damaging, especially when it comes to like when we bring up men and stuff like that, because I always think about the thought process of not finding someone attractive that looks just like you, or you want to think that it's just a Black male's preference, but then you hear the comments that they give you when you ask them the questions like we discussed, and it's just like, is this stemming from the fact that you really find these women attractive, or is it because you just don't want to deal with the assertiveness and the toughness and the realness of a Black woman? Like,
can I go back to what you had said, Kanaya, with the whole thing where you said assertiveness and then you said toughness of a Black woman? Because I don't think every Black woman would describe themselves like that. So
right, that is true. That is very true. Every Black woman wouldn't describe themselves as assertive. In my opinion, I feel like it was systems placed so that we would still have something that we would have to achieve to have a spot.
Like, I definitely think that we have come a long way. But back to what Kaylin was saying about like the self-hatred, I definitely think that it was instilled in us. Story time. So my grandmother, she was born in 1921. She is still living today. She's still driving. She's still able. She's still walking. She's still on the go. My grandmother do not play no games. My great grandmother. Right. So she showed me this picture of her in black and white. She had to be like 5 years old. And so she had a bunch of brothers and sisters. And she was like, which one do you think is me? And I pointed to a light-skinned little girl because my grandmother's light-skinned. So I pointed to the light-skinned little girl. And she's like, no, that's not me. And she pointed to her. And I was like, that little girl's dark-skinned. Like, you're light-skinned. Who is that? And she was like, that's me. My mom bleached my skin. when I was younger. Like she used to bleach her skin in like the bathtub and stuff. But that's the, era that she grew up in, where you had to pass, because if you were passing as light skin or
Right.
a white woman or a white man, like you had an easier life. So I definitely think that, being light skinned was more acceptable back then, and it's all been like trickled down to the divide that is today. But that being said, like everybody has experienced colorism, whether you know it or not.
Right.
Because it's in our music, it's in our, our entertainment, it's in schools, it's in our workplace. Like, so that being said, do you think that you don't really notice it until you experience it firsthand? And if so, like, where have you seen it in the entertainment industry?
I do agree that everybody at least experienced colorism, even if it wasn't firsthand, because I'm trying to think of a time that I did it. I probably did, but I probably didn't process it as colorism, but I feel like I did experience colorism.
Even if you haven't like experienced it, you know somebody that like is either like Lil' Kim, like she was dark skinned back in the day and now she bleached her skin and stuff and now she's light skinned.
And so they say what's so crazy about that though with Lil' Kim is the reason why she even bleached her skin in the first place, it stemmed from the abuse that she received from Black men telling her that she wasn't pretty and being beat on by Black men to the point where she didn't love herself, and then she had to get the cosmetic surgery and the stuff that she had to get because she was being abused by Black men. She said in the interview, because Lil' Kim was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And like when you see, she's still beautiful now, but when you just see the difference in her complexion, you just like, what happened? And then you automatically feel like somebody is a sellout when they do bleach their skin. And it's just like, you never know really the story of things because it's really crazy. Like the hatred that's really instilled in the community. And it's like we know it and we see it, but I feel like we still ignore it to a certain extent, and we don't hold each other accountable for really like learning through the trauma and really working through it.
Yeah. Music, you have like people, rappers and stuff talking about, oh, I want a red bone, this, that, and third. And
we don't realize they're talking about that. We just
you don't.
Let's get into the fetishization, because I was on TikTok and this one white boy said, this is literally what he said, word for word. If my baby doesn't come out light skinned with curly hair and green eyes, I don't want it. I said, so what are you going to do? Throw it in the trash?
Okay,
like
Kaylin, I seen a video just like that, right? And the girl, it was like, if your baby came out looking different than you intended, tell a story about it, right? So she was telling a story about how she was dating a Black man and she's a white woman, and she said she was going to have a perfectly blended baby, perfectly blended, right? And the baby came out looking Black. So then what?
And then that be the thing. Then also with the fetishizing Black men, it's just like you see this big, broad, tall Black man and you see power, you see protection, you see security, you see stability, you see all these things in this Black man because that's automatically what Black men portray. Their presence is that strong. You see that, you take it, you make these mixed babies, and then you have an issue with your mixed baby because you realize that your baby is really mixed.
I feel like when you have little Black boys, little Black girls, you need to understand the struggle of a little Black boy and girl, okay? You can't just go out here and just think everything is going to be happy-go-lucky because that's not the reality of it.
Right.
It's not the reality. And then it's like, I really respect the white women that go out here and they try and learn how to do their little girl's hair and they try and like make an effort to educate themselves. But when you're just out here and you really don't understand at all, and you really think that it's, oh, that was back in the day, that doesn't happen now. Like, that's the problem.
Like y'all was saying, like how some white women, they fetishize Black men. Same thing goes for white men. They fetishize having a Black girlfriend. I will never forget the time. I hate talking about this, but it needs to be said. I will never forget the time this white guy complimented me, and I just stood there shocked because he said, "Oh, you're a nice looking piece of chocolate."
They be thinking that stuff.
I was just like, do I look like a Hershey Kisses tea? Do I look like a piece of candy?
Kaylin, the compliments. Thank you for bringing it up, because, oh, what do you mix with? Your hair is too nice to be black.
That.
Oh,
Right.
right. You're pretty for a brown skin girl. You're pretty for a light skin girl.
A black girl. But you do have to make sure if you are having any type of relationship with a black person, you have to understand the black experience, because it is an experience, especially in this lifetime. Yeah. And we still are reaping the repercussions of stuff that we thought was history, that we just, I'm realizing, I don't know about y'all, but I'm realizing that history is not history, it's today or That's what it is.
Right. Just
so, so it's just form. Like still very, as much as we're growing as a society, we still have so many steps to take. Like,
yeah. And I think 2020 proved that, didn't it?
Yes. Like, we have so many steps to take. I've never struggled with my complexion, and there's some girls out there that really have.
I think it depends on where you're from and where you grew up at. Because if you grew up in like going to an all-white school and stuff, I feel like you would probably not see anybody that looks like you. So you being the only person of color, you would probably not feel some type of way. But I know that like when I grew up in it didn't get diverse until like later on, but it was mostly white, like in elementary school and stuff. I used to take out my hair. Like I had my little plaits in, and I used to take out my hair because, you know, the white girls had their hair out, so I wanted to wear my hair out. And I got in trouble every day after school, but I still did it. Right?
Girl, I would
never little ponytail was swinging in the hallway. I wanted my ponytail to swing.
No, Shalia, I would never forget. It was field day. We used to have field day in elementary school. Did you used to have that?
Mm-hmm.
When it was field day, and let me tell y'all. So it was this water game. I see all the little white girls getting wet. You know, they was getting their hair wet and everything. I was like, you know, I want my edges to blow and be wet. And I would never forget, y'all. I was purposely letting them hit me in the head with these. I was purposely letting them do it because like I wanted my hair to get wet. When it was wet, I thought I was cute. I was shaking it. It was giving body yada yada. As soon as it freaking dried up, I'm standing there looking like
chia pet.
It's giving very much mushroom.
Not chia pet.
So it was just a mess, child. I don't know who I thought I was.
So like we know that colorism isn't just in the music industry, but it's in the entertainment industry as a whole. And you can see it within football. Like I know that I was watching this one interview and they were talking about how when they're describing like black athletes, they don't use words like, oh yeah, he's really intelligent and he's smart and he has a high football IQ. Like they say more like, oh, he's athletic, he's quick on his feet, he's fast. They say stuff like that, rather than if they were talking about a white man, they would say, oh, he's smart, he's really intelligent, and he knows how to maneuver the ball and stuff like that. Like, so even there's colorism within football, there's colorism within school, work, modeling, everything. So with that being said, like, what are some solutions that can possibly cause an end to colorism?
Like I had mentioned earlier about like the skin cream companies, like the people that is investing into people bleaching their skin and getting these procedures done. I feel like we need to kind of stop those companies from making a profit from this. Although colorism doesn't always mean that it's self-hate, but it can mean that. But we can start promoting self-love. Although like life is not fair, and sadly, like we live in a world where you have to uphold a certain look, but no matter what, like just live your life and be happy, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that the first thing is to acknowledge it. Like acknowledge it that it happens, even if it doesn't necessarily happen to you. Acknowledge it, that it happens and how it makes others feel.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we can never come to like liberation as the Black community. Like we can't do that with this divide in us, you know?
Right.
So I think that we need to come together as a whole and acknowledge it so that we can move forward.
Other than everybody minding their business, I think that's like another way that we could kind of bring this whole colorism thing to an end. Just coming together and realizing like we're all the same beneath the skin. Like it doesn't matter if you're light skin, dark skin, like brown skin. It really don't matter. We're all Black at the end of the day.
And also knowing the difference between having a preference and being a colorist.
There's no need to like bash or degrade.
Right. I understand people do have bad experiences, and I understand that you are entitled to express that.
What about you, Kanaya?
I mean, I really agree with y'all saying. Like, I feel like when it comes to preference, I feel like everybody is very entitled to having a certain preference. I feel like it's just a difference between bashing someone. When I think about it, I have a preference of dark-skinned men, but that's not to say that I hate light-skinned men, you know? It's just about how you say things. I think people's wording, when you intentionally word things a certain way, I feel like that's when it becomes an issue, because I could easily say, oh, I prefer dark skins, but I'll date whoever, you know?
And like, speaking of the media, I know we watched that video of that VH1 TV show called Sign, where it's like, is it MMG? The label is.
Yeah, it's MMG. That's the label.
Do y'all remember the video?
I do. It just resurfaced again on like the internet. But I remember watching that episode, and the other girl, I wish that I knew her name. Unfortunately, I don't know her name, but the other girl that was receiving the criticism and stuff like, not only was her singing better, her production was better, her cadence was better. The overall production of the music was more quality. It had more quality than just Britney's little remix. And it was definitely colorist, because when Kaya was singing, everybody was just looking at her. She over here, she was even performing, even they cut her music short and everything. And just Britney over here not even giving her bare minimum. And because she was light skinned, had a big butt, had big boobs, she was looked at as this mega star. And Kaya's music production was way better, in my opinion. With that, I don't even think it was more so. It was about color, because just Britney got the praise.
Sadly, like, in this industry now, what I think is like sex sells. So I know people a lot of people saying that, so you gotta have some type of sex appeal plus your music.
I think it just was unfortunate that the circumstance of her being on that television show, because when it comes down to it, if just Britney was, because I think I remember Kaya being petite. If just Britney was just as petite as Kaya and didn't have on the makeup and stuff like that, do y'all think that she would have got the same response? Because I feel like her shape plays a point in it as well.
I would say that her shape did play a huge role in it, considering like the beauty standard now, which is crazy, because the beauty standard now can only be achieved through plastic surgery.
Literally, the beauty standard, and it's crazy because you're seeing most of that beauty standard on Black women.
Yeah,
You're
and
seeing most of it on Black women, and it's like,
unless your family genetics, like, it just goes like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're just naturally built like that, but that's mostly because all the other women in your family look like that, you know? Unless you have those genetics, you are not. Everybody's getting BBLs and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think that you should let it be known that it's not natural for your body to look like that. So whenever like they're lying about getting work done and stuff, like, little girls and stuff are gonna look up at this
and think that that's something that's achievable when it's not. Like, because women are genuinely getting ribs removed out of their bodies to achieve a Coke bottle figure.
Right. But I definitely think that has something to do with it. But then again, she is light skinned. Not saying like what Des was saying, that some light skinned people actually do work for what they have, work for what they got. Because, you know, we all are Black, so we do have to work hard to get half as far.
I feel like she would have been given more of a chance for no reason at all. If you are presenting your art, your project to somebody that you're trying to get signed to, why would they not listen to it all the way through?
Yeah, that was rude. Like, it was.
Why would he cut her short? I feel like if she looked like the girl Britney, they would have let her song play all the way through. Because he said something like, I feel like this isn't the right way to present your voice. But it's just like, how would you know? You didn't listen to it.
That is true. I agree with Caitlin. In addition to like the music industry, acting, like, a lot of dark-skinned actors, like, they always try to cast them in roles as like the help or slave, like stuff like that. Like, I remember listening to an interview with Viola Davis, and she was saying how they tried to put her in roles like that, even though she is like a strong Black woman, and a lot of times she plays those roles. But she said when she first started her career, they always tried to put her in roles like that.
Which is unfair because that's the role that has been portrayed for us for years, centuries even.
So y'all know that I read The Hate You Give a couple of years ago, right?
Mhm.
And they released a movie. The girl on the front of the book is a dark-skinned girl. The animated girl on the front of the book is a dark-skinned girl. But in the movie, they had Amanda Liz play her role in the movie. Don't get me wrong, she did an amazing job playing that role, but I feel like since the girl was dark-skinned in the book, they should have saved that opportunity for a dark-skinned girl.
That's like the same thing as Blackish and there being nothing but light-skinned people on the show.
I have a question. Do you think that men are more subject to colorism or women? And if so, like, does it affect men differently than women?
I think when it comes to women, people are more sensitive about it, but it definitely happens both ways. Because when people talk about men, they think that they won't be as hurt by it because, oh, they're supposed to be men. They're supposed to be tough. They can take anything. But men have feelings too. The things that people say to women, if they say it to men, that can mess up their mental too, you know? Just like it messes with ours. I think people are less sensitive towards men when it comes to stuff like this. But it definitely goes both ways.
They can experience colorism, definitely. Everybody seeing like light skin or pretty boys, and then dark skinned men are just tough, aggressive, manly, representation of masculinity when it's not always that.
Yeah. I was just going to piggyback off of what you were just saying about the Black male identity and how a lot of the time Black men feel like they need to fit into this one identity of being hard, being street, being tough, never showing any emotions, like being with all these different girls and stuff like that. Like one identity. If you don't fit into this certain identity that they set for you, then or inside this box, it's like you're weird or you don't fit in or you're flaky. Right. You know, it's just weird. Imagine like the potential of everybody was different and everybody was free to be who they wanted to. Like you got so many people out here, so many Black men that are trying to be something that they're not supposed to be. And there's really like talent and stuff behind that, but it's really I can't even get into all that right now.
It's so much. Like it's crazy how colorism can touch in so many things with racism, mental health, with social status, all that stuff. Before I close this podcast out, I wanted to ask this closing question. Why is colorism so widespread but not often talked about?
I would definitely say that a lot of the time people don't deal with things that don't directly address them. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's not one of their main things that they have to get to on a daily basis or get through. So it's not of high importance. Yeah. So versus somebody that deals with that every day, it's not going to be something that's a big deal to them. You know, we know what it is because we're Black women. But if we were trying to explain it to somebody else who doesn't go through this day to day, then they wouldn't understand, or it would be unheard of to them.
Right, that is true.
I don't think that people necessarily want to put it into it because they don't know what it is.
Right,
or it's not enough awareness about it. So
I agree.
Like I agree too, but another thing is I feel like it's the way people are brought up to, like the environment they're living in.
The reason why I feel like colorism is widespread but not often talked about is because the resources that we probably do have out there are not really promoted to help people like get through it or find a solution. And plus, like, people are making money off of people bleaching their skin because it's like they know that these chemicals will kill them, but at the same time, they feel like bleaching their skin will make them more successful, and being successful equals money in some people's mind. But it's not always about the money. But definitely tune in to our next episode.
Yes.
Friday at noon.
Thank
you guys for listening. And see y'all soon.
And we are
the AP
Effect.